November is a month where we make aware of all the issues dealing with men's health, whether it's physical health or mental health. We have Rich Loesing here from Movember to chat all about what's going on this November. Hello, Rich. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about Movember. For someone who's unfamiliar with the organization, tell us a little bit about what you guys do.
Yeah, so Movember is the world's leading charity changing the face of men's health. Everything we do is to stop men dying too young, and we do that by focusing on the three key areas of mental health and suicide prevention, prostate cancer, and testicular cancer.
Now, obviously, we people have been growing mustaches, making it aware for things in November. Tell us a little bit about that campaign and that aspect.
So Movember is all about the mustache. Some charities have pink ribbons or blue ribbons. We have the hairy ribbon that men grow on their upper lip every Movember. And we encourage men to start the month clean shaven and to grow a mustache throughout the month of November to raise awareness for men's health and start those important conversations around these important issues. But not everybody's able or willing to grow a mustache. So there are definitely other ways to participate and help raise awareness. In fact, I'm getting married on November 20th this year, and my fiance was not too keen on a 20-day mustache waiting for her on the altar. So I'll actually be participating in other ways this year, such as doing our Move Challenge. I've already hosted a Movember event, and I do some other unique things to help bring awareness for the cause.
Now, this organization has been around for almost 20 years. We're going to be celebrating the 20-year anniversary in 2023, which I can't believe that's actually a year. It just seems so far in the future, but it's coming up, sooner than we know it. How have you seen, you've been with the company for a long time, the face of men's health and the way that men are communicating change in this period of time so far?
Yeah, it's really been just such great progress that we've seen over the years. So this is my 13th year participating as a Mobro, as a fundraiser, and fifth year as an employee. And in both those spans of times, I've seen such progress, not only in the organization, what we've been able to do and the impact we've made, but in my own personal life as well. The awareness around mental health specifically growing in recent years amongst professional athletes and actors and really just men specifically being more comfortable talking about these issues, which traditionally we haven't been very good at. So it's clear that Movember and movements like it are really having a tremendous impact in getting men to open up and seek help when necessary.
Often when you see things in the news, whether it's a celebrity or an athlete, and they have mental health and it's a man involved, it's usually because they've reached a breaking point or something has happened. But we don't want to necessarily get to that point where we're seeking help. What are maybe some tips that guys can do now if maybe they haven't been so open with their partners, with their family and friends, with their parents, depending on their age, of something that's going on that is hurting them mentally and that they're struggling with? Someone who, whether it's, day one of them dealing with this or 25 years of dealing with something, what's something that a man could do today to help him in this journey?
Absolutely. So I'm glad you asked that question, because what Movember is really all about is getting men to change their behavior in a positive manner. On average, men die 6 years earlier than our female counterparts, and there's no biological reason for that. It's for largely preventable reasons. So we figure that if we can get men to be more proactive in their mental and physical health and well-being, that we really can stop men dying too young. In terms of things to start doing, the first would be to continue to try to build social connection. Men are more isolated generally than women. So whether it's just reaching out to friends, joining social clubs, just getting involved in your community, it's a great way to foster that sense of belonging and connectedness and really build that resiliency that we're looking to get with men. Secondly is to lead by example. That's such an important part. Women, generally speaking, do a much better job of staying connected, reaching out to friends, family members, seeking help when something's not feeling right or doing too well. And men don't do that well. So lead by example. If there is something wrong, whether it's a mental issue or an emotional problem or a physical ailment, seek help. Do that. But then also try to create that atmosphere for other men. And this is where our most sisters, our female supporters, do such a tremendous job inspiring and encouraging the men in their lives to make that positive change. And for me, I've learned that leading by example is the best way to do that. I'm involved in several men's groups outside of my participation with Movember. And I found that when other men share, when they're open, when they're vulnerable, it inspires me to do the same thing. And it really spreads like wildfire. So I would say seek help if you need it. stay connected, and lead by being open, being vulnerable, and talking with other men.
Now you mentioned, some of the other organizations that you're involved with as far as, so, men, is it more like group therapy, or is it just a social aspect? And, where can guys seek these organizations out?
Yeah, so over the past several years, I've grown deeper in my faith, and through my church, actually, there's a men's group that meets every Wednesday morning. And again, when I started doing it, I was just kind of a young whippersnapper in my mid-20s, just looking to see what it was all about and build that connection. And over the past decade plus, I've grown some really strong bonds with these men of all ages. I mean, I have close friends that are in their 80s. I have close friends that are in their 20s and everywhere in between. But just by building that consistency into my routine, into my schedule, getting together to grab a cup of coffee and just talk about what's going on in our lives, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between, our successes, our failures, that's been such an important part of my own life. And although it has a religious foundation, it is in ways a group therapy. I always joke with the guys, it's like, who needs a therapist when I have this free opportunity to connect with you guys on a weekly basis and work through our problems together, celebrate our successes together. But that's just one ways of many. There are retreats, there are secular groups, there are sports clubs, there are hobbies that you can get in that have groups alongside with it. So whatever you can do to just foster that connection with other men, it's very powerful. But it doesn't need to be just with other men, with anyone. And again, I think that's why, it continues, our female supporters in our base of Most Sisters continues to grow year after year, because they see the importance of being an active supporting voice in this men's health movement.
Now let's talk a little bit about the physical cancers and some of the issues that you guys deal with as well too. I guess, first of all, let's start with testicular cancer, which can hit as young as teenage years. A lot of young kids, in their teens, are embarrassed about their bodies, or afraid to bring up certain issues. Maybe their dads didn't explain to them, or their parents didn't explain to them, what to check for, or that they should be checking. Talk a little bit about that. It's because especially it's such a curable cancer, but so many guys are afraid to go to the doctor, or afraid to tell their parents or their significant other that something's going on.
Yeah, testicular cancer is actually the most common cancer in young men between the ages of 15 and 35. So a lot of times we think about young guys and we think they're healthy, they're fine, everything's good, not knowing that there are risks with physical problems such as testicular cancer. So one thing that I love that we do here at Movember is during Testicular Cancer Awareness Month in April, is we run a campaign entitled Know Thy Nuts. And it really just gets men to understand the risks of testicular cancer and what that looks like, but also perform self-examinations. I mean, the breast cancer movement, for example, has done such a fantastic job of educating women and letting them know how to perform examinations on themselves to look for lumps and signs of breast cancer. We're doing the same for men when it comes to testicular cancer. So we encourage men of all ages, once a month at least, while they're in the shower, to perform an examination on their testicles, to know thy nuts, and to feel for lumps, swelling, pain, sensitivity, things that might kind of feel out of the ordinary. And if there's something that doesn't feel right, we really encourage them to see a doctor, because it may be nothing, but if you can catch it ahead of time, if there is an issue, it leads to far better results down the road. So especially because it's obviously an awkward thing, it deals with your genitals. Guys may be uncomfortable to do it, but if they know that it is a risk, it's a common one, and it's one that you can get through relatively unscathed if you catch it early enough. It's just about making the conversation more regular, more usual, so that if there's a problem, we can address it early, get to it, and hopefully get through it with minimal problems.
One of the issues, I think, especially with men sharing their feelings, is that they probably goes back to their childhood, of maybe their dad didn't let them open up as kids or as teenagers, and they didn't kind of have that relationship where they could say that something was bothering them, or physically or emotionally. Is there a conversation that a father who's watching this can have with their son?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think it touches a little upon what we discussed earlier, and that's leading by example, right? It's being open, being vulnerable. A lot of times men can be great at giving advice, but not living by that same advice, right? So if you're a father, even a role model to any young men, is to lead by example. Are you going to get your annual physicals? Are you being proactive in your health? Are you staying physically active? Because I think leading by example can often be much more impactful than just educating and telling what to do. Having said that, that's a really important part as well. So saying, checking in. We have an ALEC model that we employ when it comes to conversing with men of all ages, and that's ask, listen, encourage, and check in. So when you're having that discussion, just ask, how are things going? What's going on in your life? How's school? How's work? How's the family? Listening without judgment or distractions. Encouraging action, whatever that may be. It may be to seek help with a professional. It may be to stay connected with other men or with yourself. But whatever is appropriate, based on your relationship with the person and what that might look like. And then to check in regularly. So if you're doing those things, if you're leading by example, you're starting those conversations, you're compassionate, you're checking in, that's a great way to get positive behavior rolling amongst men of all ages.
Now, is there anything social, so either on your social media pages or through the website that guys can join in a conversation virtually right now? And if they have any questions or have any, concerns?
Yeah. So everything starts and ends at Movember.com. So I would definitely encourage everyone to go to Movember.com. That's where you can see all of our amazing resources, the things we have, the information, the statistics, how to get involved. Every year, particularly around Movember, men and women all over the world will sign up. They'll create their individual MoSpace page to help raise awareness for the cause, to do our Move Challenge, to host events, to see what's going on in their community. So I would definitely encourage people to start at Movember.com and see the incredible resources that we have to offer there. But in terms of some specifics, we have digital resources that are incredibly useful to men and frankly, everyone in our community. One being Family Man. You mentioned fathers. We realized that fatherhood is an incredibly difficult time for men emotionally and mentally. So what resources are out there to serve fathers, and especially new fathers, if this is their first child, and how to manage that relationship with their child? So by checking out our Family Man, there's different modules that help men, fathers, navigate situations with their children. It's a great tool, and I recommend everyone check that out. Movember Conversations is another digital tool that helps navigate conversations with men. As you know, men can tend to keep their feelings inside of them. They may not want to talk about if things are being tough or they're going through difficult times. So how do you get over that? How do you kind of break through those walls and those barriers? And Movember Conversations is a digital tool that kind of helps you navigate what a difficult conversation with a man might look like. So those are just a couple of our digital tools that come to mind. But again, I encourage everyone to visit Movember.com, where they can see the vast array of everything that we have to offer.
Rich, thank you so much for your time today. Movember.com and Movember on the social media channels. You can go ahead and check them out as well too. Congratulations on the big day coming up later on in November.
Thank you very much. We're excited. And again, even though I won't have the pure mustache, I'll be still championing men's health and spreading the word about Movember all over.
Thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.